Next I got some news on Sudan, where protests have continued. And last time I talked about Sudan on the show, Connor, the Prime Minister Hamdok was reinstated to his post after being overthrown by a military coup near the end of October. It took about an entire month of protests. I think around November 22nd, he was reinstated. But once he was reinstated, there was a feeling that he really didn't have power. And in fact, some of the protesters were upset with the former prime minister for accepting the deal that he did, feeling like it gave the military too much control. And so that's that kind of catches us up to the news I'm talking about today. The first story I have is from Reuters, exclusive. Sudan cut off from 650 million of international funding after coup, and this is $500 million from the World Bank and $150 million from the IMF that isn't going to go to Sudan as scheduled, on top of the aid coming from the U.S. Now, this could be a problem for Sudan, and the leadership there, Connor, has said that it's going to create an economic problem. However, this move does have the support, at least of some of the protesters in Sudan. And so that's, kind of interesting. And it may just be a small section of the protesters, but it does seem to be the same protest movement that, got Hamdok reinstated. So very interesting how this is kind of playing out in the politics here. I don't know if you have any thoughts on that.
No, I'm learning as I go. I need to catch up more on what's been going on in Sudan.
All right. So then the protests really escalated around the end of December, and at December 20th, we had one protester killed. As they were demanding the military leadership of the country take a bad seat, and I think they want this guy Al Fatah to actually resign from his post, and he's like the main top military guy at this point. Now, then a few days later, I think this is like right about New Year's Eve, New Year's Day, there was a situation in Sudan where that morning the military had cut the internet and had started firing tear gas at the protesters. And this seemed like it was likely going to lead to an increase of violence, and then there was at least 5 people killed that day. So the death toll since the initial military coup, now in October 25th, I think is approaching 60 people, with again about 60 or 6 in the past couple of weeks. So very interesting. A lot going on with all of this, Connor. But I guess then after those 5 protesters are killed, the Prime Minister Hamdok again resigns, and the U.S. put out a statement saying that the U.S. was prepared to respond to Sudan's deadly crackdown against pro-democracy protesters. And so not sure if the U.S. is actually going to intervene here, but it does seem that this has the attention of the State Department, although more protesters are killed, in several places around the world. So I'm not sure why the U.S. is making a special case of this. Last story on Sudan is this actually happened towards the beginning of December and seems to be a relatively separate issue than what's going on in the capital, protesting and everything like that. But there was some tribal fighting in Western Darfur that left about 100 people dead over the course of 4 days.